Newsy day as Kellen Moore begins and enters his first game week as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, Locked On Saints, here to kind of give us the roundup. Yo, man, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, man, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Let's start with maybe what seems like the most significant news and really surprising. The Saints cut J.T. Gray today. Why?
Yeah, pretty surprising move. I mean, I have a couple of sort of hypotheses around this, but not really anything solid. I just think that the Saints kind of just felt like it was time to move on there. But look, I think that we've seen from the Saints so far a bit of a focus on getting younger. So that's one box checked. Another thing is that this team has not been shy about moving on from players of the previous regime. You think about Isaiah Foskey not re-signing Peyton Turner, recently moving on from other pieces. So, the Saints have not sort of had any loyalty really for those guys that have been around for some time. But the other thing that I think is very possible here is that the Saints just aren't really in a situation to where they feel like they can hold on to roster spots for guys that will only be able to contribute in a singular way, or guys that will only be able to contribute on special teams. Not to reduce what J.T. Gray has done, but J.T. Gray is not somebody that typically gets put out on the defensive side of the football, right? But he's also a two-time second-team All-Pro, one-time first-team All-Pro just a few years ago. So not trying to discount anything about what it is that he's achieved throughout his career here in New Orleans. He's had a fantastic career and will continue to have one, I'm sure, in Denver or something, if that's where he ends up with reuniting with Darren Rizzi. But I could see the Saints sort of going into this season in sort of this retool and saying, you know what, we need these roster spots for guys that are going to be able to contribute in multiple ways, not just on special teams. And so I could see a guy like Terrell Burgess, for instance, being brought up from the practice squad who they could rely on the defensive side and also could contribute on special teams. It's a little bit of a negotiation thing, but maybe that had something to do with it.
Okay, so J.T. Gray had a 53-man roster spot. Who's going to take this spot now?
Yeah, that's where I imagine Terrell Burgess comes in.
Okay.
You have, some of these other younger safeties that you have. But look, Terrell Burgess is a Brandon Staley guy through and through, and also was a big-time special teams player throughout his career, both for the Rams as well as for the Washington Commanders. So I could absolutely see Terrell Burgess, if he's healthy and ready to come up, being a guy that gets added to the practice squad from the practice squad immediately from that safety position. Saints have also added 3 players to their practice squad where they only had 2 spots open, so it makes sense that they're just looking to elevate somebody from there to their 53.
Okay, that's one piece of news. The Saints have also signed a couple of players and worked out a few more players. Let's talk with the 2 guys that have been added to the practice squad. Defensive tackle Coziah, Izzard. Fill us in. Who is he and why is this significant?
Yeah, so he is a 6'3", 300-pound defensive tackle that was a fantastic run stopper over at Penn State. He came in as an undrafted free agent, spent some time here in the league with the Kansas City Chiefs over the course of the preseason. He was a big reason why Penn State was able to shut down some of those big running games and during the college playoffs last year. He's just a big, super athletic guy that is very, very hard to move off of his spot, or was at the collegiate level. I think he's got some development, of course, to do in order to be able to kind of have that same impact in the pros. But the Saints didn't have anybody like him on their practice squad. They had Jonah Williams, who was the only other defensive tackle or interior defender on their practice squad. But he's not as much of a run stuffer as he is kind of a 3-4 defensive end type. And so this gives the Saints a little bit more of that prototype stuff up the middle of the run game kind of defensive tackle on their practice squad.
Okay, what about outside linebacker Leota?
Yeah, this is a guy that I really like. 6'4", 250. He's kind of that quintessential speed pass rusher type. And the Saints kind of add him and Fadil Diggs now both on the practice squad. The Saints got really well introduced to Leota last year during the Week 1 game between the Saints and the Carolina Panthers. He was a member of the Panthers. He had 1 sack on Derek Carr as well as 3 tackles for a loss and a hit on the quarterback. So not super surprising to see him be a guy that was on the Saints' radar. He also spent some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, so he developed a little bit more as a pass rusher on their practice squad, behind some really, really good pass rushers there. So the Saints get another young talent to bring into their practice squad to help out from a depth perspective.
Ross Jackson's with us on Twitter at RossJacksonNola, LouisianaSports.net, Locked On Saints. Let's start with a couple of guys other guys they've added and have worked out. Trey Palmer is in New Orleans now, back home, I guess, in the New Orleans area. Where might he fit in this receiver group?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it grows over the course of the season. He's currently on the active roster. That's part of the picking somebody up from waivers. They have to go to your active roster in that case. And so he brings more speed to this wide receiver room that's already brimming with speed when it comes to that room so far. You've got 3 guys that have run a 4.33. You got another guy in Chris Olave that ran a 4.39. You had another guy in Rashid Shaheed who never ran a 40, but with his 10.07 second 20 or rather 100 meter dash or 100 meter time, you could see him as a 4.3, 4.2 speed guy. He's a really, really fast player, as we all know. And so I think that you just add another, piece to that wide receiver room. And Trey Palmer did really well in terms of transitioning to the NFL. He was a bit of an impact player when needed for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so the Saints went from having a really questionable wide receiver room, now having added Devon Vele and now Trey Palmer to make that room a little bit stronger.
Okay, I know they've worked out a couple of other players. Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son, they've worked out. Can you kind of give us the update on him as a prospect? If we know how that went, might he actually be added? What's the latest there?
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be added, at least as of right now. The Saints actually added a third player today, a second player from that tryout list, in former Montana State quarterback Tommy Mellott, who is a guy that transitioned from quarterback to wide receiver in the league with the Las Vegas Raiders. This just happened not too long ago.
Okay.
And so the big comparison for Mellott is Taysom Hill. They're not nearly the same size as one another, but Taysom ran a 4.44 second 40-yard dash. Mellott was a 4.39 at quarterback. Taysom Hill was a 38.5-inch vertical leap. Mellott was a 41-inch vertical leap, and then 10.2 broad jump for Hill, 10.4 broad jump for Mellott. So you have this really interesting player that's now being added to the Saints practice squad. That's probably going to be that Terrell Burgess spot that opens up, if it is Terrell Burgess that moves up. But Mellott comes in and has an arm, he can run, and he is cross-trained as a wide receiver as well. It's a really intriguing guy to watch. I'm not going to sit out here and say that he's Taysom Hill or even Taysom Hill 2.0. I think Taysom Hill is who he is because no one else is like him. But, boy, you talk about a guy that brings some of those quote-unquote superpowers that Kellen Moore really likes. Mellott's a guy to watch out for, so I'll be very interested to see where things go with him. I think because of that signing, I'm not expecting anything to really move with the Brendan Rice tryout at this time, but definitely a name to watch out for if the Saints end up needing some help at wide receiver later on. Although, of course, look, this has been a busy day. Who's to say that they're done making news just yet?
Yeah. Look, I mean, the Saints tried to find Taysom Hill 2.0 with Tommy Stevens. That went belly up. So be careful thinking you're going to find the next version of. But do you think, Ross, that there is we've become so accustomed to the quote-unquote Taysom Hill role for 8 years now. But that was Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael. This is a totally new staff altogether. Is there a quote-unquote Taysom Hill role in this offense? Do we know? Do we think? Has anyone asked Kellen Moore that?
Yes, Kellen Moore has spoken about it. He very much believes in what it is. It seems, let me say it that way, that he very much believes in what it is that Taysom Hill can offer to this team. I've asked him, very overtly whether or not he still sees Taysom Hill as a guy that he would get mixed into, quarterback reps and being able to run sort of those QB powers and things like that. And he very plainly answered yes with that. So I expect that there is something there, assuming that Taysom Hill is healthy at some point this season and ready to go. But if he's not, and the Saints are looking for some of these versatile playmakers that can impact the game from various position groups, you think about Bayless Jones Jr., who can operate as a running back, but also as a wide receiver. Trey Palmer has taken some snaps out of the backfield, but has the versatility to play in the slot and out wide. And then now all of a sudden you add this Tommy Mellott kid who, look, I'm not going to put any expectations on him, but if there's one player at one place that makes you feel like, oh, there could be something there, he is, and this is it. And so if the Saints are looking for players that can have an impact from multiple positions, they have a few options. Not to say that they're really going to find the next Taysom Hill or anything like that, but they have some options to explore with and see what they can get done here.
Are they really wearing the gold jerseys in Kellen Moore's debut?
They absolutely are. That is a big one that apparently I guess I take it from Kellen Moore's presser today that Cam Jordan really had a lot to do with that too. He really wanted to wear these.
Wow.
And of course, Cam Jordan's was a big proponent for having these. It'll be their first gold jersey look since 2002. The last time did not go well for New Orleans. And they're going to be wearing those black helmets to go with those gold jerseys, which they are also 0-4 in. So they're looking for a big-time change of fortune when it comes to these design jerseys.
The old adage, look good, play good. Whatever, like the complete 180 opposite of that is, that's what we're going to see Sunday in the day.
You really do not like these gold jerseys.
Or the black helmets. I mean, the black helmets are an atrocity, and these gold jerseys are just as hideous. And it's even more perplexing, Ross, that this NFL organization can't match the gold colors.
Yeah,
Make it match. What are you doing?
I don't know what that's all about. I feel
it looks like a third grader
folks...
put this together. My special needs child could do a better job with color coordinating this thing.
I feel like a lot of folks always try to pin it on, well, there's color palettes that these, but then you look at all of the collegiate jerseys that Nike has made, and you can't tell me that they can't match gold colors.
It's whatever. I'm gonna watch. I'll hope that they're way better than I think they're going to be, but they're not going to be any better than I think they're going to be.
Does your opinion change if they go like 2-0 in these jerseys this year? Or do you still hate them?
Absolutely not. This is an absolute atrocity. And black and gold, Ross, is a gaudy color scheme. Like, it's ugly. So, and from like my whole life, the Saints really struggled to find apparel even that looked good. And it feels like in the last decade or so, they've sort of simplified. They've gone to more like block lettering. They brought back Sir Saint. You could find like just a black polo with Sir Saint on it, or the floor. Like, you'd find things that just make it more modest. It makes it pop. Like, now they're going like
Opposite
90s Toronto Raptors, 90s Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys is like what they're trying to do here. Like, what is this? What, like, are you just, do they sit in a room? Like, you might be able to answer this, Ross. I mean, you're way closer to it. Do they sit in a room, whoever they are, and think like, okay, what's the ugliest thing we could come up with to try to pass off as cool to see if we could trick people into thinking it looks good? Like, is that how this brainstorming session goes?
I genuinely am not sure how jersey design conversations go. I don't even know if those happen with the team involved or how that happens with the designers and Nike and all these other things. I mean, I'm sure the team is involved in some way.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know what I mean? But I don't know where, who gets the final say in this, that, and the other, and color choice and design, all these other things. I'm not fully sure, but I don't know if anybody is going to put there and say that was my idea, and that might be where the big issue is.
So bad. I mean, whatever. They look like Vanderbilt. They'll probably play like before Pavia Vanderbilt.
Pre-Pavia. Yeah.
Read him at LouisianaSports.net. Listen or watch to Locked On Saints and follow him at Ross Jackson Nola. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. You take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
All right. Be well. I'll try to stay safe to protect myself from myself. We got to watch the Saints team all season. I mean, watching this Saints team this year is going to be bad enough. Like, that's going to be painful enough. Like, watching them in these uniforms it's just amplifying every bit of suck. Why? I mean, I was on TikTok the other day and I had some old, like, late 1980s, like Dome Patrol, Bobby Hebert, Eric Martin, Dalton Hilliard era Saints highlights pop into my feed, and I'm like, man, they look good then. The old gold, the big fleur-de-lis on the helmet, the black pants with the stripes down the side. Like, if you're going to wear black, don't wear softball pants. Wear pants like football pants with stripes. Go like white gold, white stripes down the leg. I mean, it ain't hard. Why do they make it so bad? Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.